systematic investment. How the toolkit that I'm going to present here today handles each part of the life cycle. Okay? So, surprising a prospect with your preparedness, that's what a lot of us do. And what is the kind of preparedness? Preparedness in terms of understanding who the customer is and what is the kind of requirement that the person may have. What are the kind of products that I have and which may handle the needs that are available. So what comes along with in that entire suite of financial planning is the first thing is a small little presentation. So the tool includes a small little profile. It has a couple of questions. The questions, when answered, give a certain risk. It gives you a measure of the risk appetite. If you're focusing towards the goal, we need not actually go around and try to find out the income. So, as a first tool, when we get into a customer's premises, okay, or we are talking to an existing customer whom we've been dealing with for quite some time, the first thing that you make it very clear is that, hey, you can be comfortable with me. I don't want to know your income, and I don't want to know from where you get this money. Let us be focused towards the goal. No one wants to get into, our customers don't want to get into, giving a lot of details. So if you look at a classical financial planning information gathering tool, there are a lot of information which needs to be captured. Yes or no? It's a big fat one, right? We wanted to have a simple tool, something which everyone can take it to the customers. A simple tool. All right? So this is my first foot in the door. You could go ahead and use it. We have calculators. We have calculators which also tell simple things. We've also found out one of the reasons why customers say no towards investment.
The topic is the mutual fund business of consumer perspective and not a common perspective. I think most of us here today are seeing ourselves in the midst of a huge change. And, when I see this change, I remember the quotes of two very famous naturalists, evolutionary biologists. Some of you may have heard of the names. The first one is a gentleman called Mr. Stephen Jay Gould. And he said that evolution doesn't happen in a smooth and a consistent manner. There are long periods where nothing at all happens, where there are minimal mutations. And there are short periods of tremendous upheavals. And I think we are finding ourselves in the middle of an upheaval of that kind. And the second more interesting thing is a quote by Charles Darwin, the British naturalist, who said that it is not the strongest of the species who survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones who are most adaptable to change. The position that you find yourselves in your businesses will not be determined by how strong or how big you are today, but how well you adapt to the changes that are happening around you. That the chains of habit are too light to be felt till they're too strong to be broken. So what we need to do is change right now. India has perhaps the fastest growing savings pool in the world. Savings and investment were perhaps one and the same thing. There was no difference between the two. But I think the government has worked over a period of decades to reduce the inefficiencies in the system, and we are seeing a secular movement downwards for interest rates. This clearly means that savings and investment are going to be two very, very different things. And believe me, consumers or investors realize this now. We are in an environment where consumer needs are going to be there, and the options that he has is going to be very limited. In the case of the mutual fund industry, we've seen that at a very nascent stage, we barely have any great penetration to talk about for mutual funds. At a very nascent stage, this industry has been pushed into intense competition. There has been intense competition, there has been intense frenzy for customer acquisition. The focus has been on making the sale rather than on selling the product category. And that has, when we speak to individual investors and consumers in research, that has played a big role in creating a short-term view of this product category. People look at mutual funds as something for the short term purely because we have focused on making the sale and not selling the product category. So mutual fund was meant to democratize or bring to the masses the benefits that the capital markets would really give. But the reality is that this category has got so complex, has got so difficult for investors to understand, that it's become an intimidating experience.
Yesterday when I was going through the list of speakers,